How's it going, everyone? If you enjoyed this review, click the like and subscribe, and also hit bell. Comment your thoughts about it as well. I want to hear what you have to say. I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get into this. Let's do it. This is the debut album of Los Angeles-based black metal quartet Agriculture. This thing is packaged by the band themselves as an ecstatic black metal release. Making new genres already, goddamn. Fronted by vocalist Daniel Mayer, this band is bursting right onto the scene with a black metal album that looks to pull euphoric emotions like bliss and joy out of the genre's typically dark and despondent aesthetics. Let's take it from the top. The Glory of the Ocean spans the length of 8 minutes and undergoes quite the metamorphosis. Right off the bat, Agriculture shows us the sonic creativity to expect from this album, with a shoegazy mountain of guitars, a lumbering beat that quickly moves into what I will call phase 2 of this track. Our first real taste of tightly wound guitars and pummeling blast beats. Everything becomes so intense, the screams nearly get drowned out by how caked out the mix is. Later in the track we get some sharp blasts of sour guitar that really accent the downbeat. The soundplay all over this thing is not to be understated. I'm equally as much of a fan of the blissful savagery of the track Look Part 1. There's a bizarre little sax solo smack bang in the middle of this thing that breaks the track up quite nicely. It's jarring, but again, it's that creativity and playing with structure and sound that I was talking about earlier. Guitars that sound like screams from a classic slasher flick close this song out and prep us for the following, Look Part 2, which is mostly characterized by some classic tremolo-picked leads harmonizing atop steady, throttling blast beats. It's very typical of this style of music, but I do think that it is executed quite tastefully and faithfully throughout this project. We get probably the closest thing to a black metal breakdown at the midpoint. Shots of guitar and wailing leads build a lot of tension. Unfortunately though, I don't think it gets resolved as satisfyingly as I would have hoped. The sluggish extended outro goes nowhere fast and takes up a bulk of the back end. I think there's a bit of wasted potential here, sadly. The third installment of this Look series ends on an ecstatically harsh note. High-pitched noise and flurries of chaotic drumming take up much of the first half. A moment of silence, coloured only by a single kick drum, is suddenly broken by one of the most twistedly gorgeous black metal portions on this entire record. You would think the leads on this part of the track were a string section with how smoothly played they are, and also how heavenly and rich they sound. This track is such a testament to the band's willingness to push the boundaries of such a tried and true formula. Top moment on the album for me, personally. RELIER is an emphatic way to close out this album. As if the sound of this thing wasn't dense and crushing enough, the band decides to turn things up another notch. I do also want to note the vocals on this project. The intensity at which these screams are being performed is so in the red, it elevates what is already such an addictively hellish listen. Provides an additional layer of madness, you know? The droning guitar section in the second half of this track is earth-shattering. I also love the mountainous final leg that sees these noisy, piercing guitars cascading over each other in yet another twisted dance. This album really wowed me. This band came out of nowhere for me, and showed me that black metal is still very much being kept alive in the underground as we speak. Impeccable performances, a classic lo-fi aesthetic on these mixes too that pays homage to the classics without just simply copying them. The fact that they're on the Flenser is pretty awesome for them too. Hopefully that points a few more people in their direction. If this is what we've got as a debut right out the gate, I can only imagine them getting more creative, more ambitious, more ecstatic. Giving this thing an 8.5 out of 10. If you like the cut of my jib, don't forget, the subscribe button is your best friend, the bell is your best friend, the like button is your best friend, the comment button is your best friend. Your parents love you and only want what's best for you, in most circumstances. Power chords are really all you need, man. I'm way more of a drummer. I love beating the skins. Alright, that concludes this episode of me rambling into a camera, the void staring back at me, and I'm looking at it, and it's looking at me, and I'm looking back at it. I think people are listening, but, you know, I can't be sure. It's one of those things. Don't panic. Life's fine. It's easy. No one cares about you, really. Nobody cares about that embarrassing thing you did 5 years ago. No one really cares about anything, honestly. I think it's pretty comforting to know. Most people are just trying to get on with their day. Not everything's about you, bro. You are just a number! And with that, I'm gonna leave you all to yourselves. You think you can look after yourselves for a little while? I hope so. Bye!